All right, so what everybody should always know is you always at least have your two weapons. So when they're saying, I have my sticks, I have my blade, there is something called santukan in the Filipino martial arts system, or at least in this system. Loosely translated, it's dirty boxing. Actually, if you've heard that in MMA, it's like, oh, look at the dirty boxing. A lot of it traces back to how in the Philippines that they were there. So it was, a lot of grappling is needed in the weapons-based art and in the blade. But the shin kicking, the elbows, you know that if you have a reverse blade, the easiest way to be able to teach a hook is put a blade in your hand and just say slash. So a lot of times if you've ever taught somebody empty hand, they all do the bicycle punch, right? And then all of a sudden you put a blade in their hand, they're just like pointed, and all of a sudden they have the straightest jab ever. So learning the weapon, I don't want to say first, but to correct some empty hand by using the thrust and slash method and the angles of attack from Filipino martial arts is going to be very useful, and you're going to find out as you start to train this more and more. So just as much as we started with the sticks, hands up this way, this is because if you lose the weapon, you're in the same loading position, or chamber if that's what you call within your school. The things that would be slightly different if you do traditional boxing, just regular punching, you'll notice that it's always straight out, straight back, and coming back. Make sense? That's nothing new for what you guys are doing. A lot of times in Filipino martial arts, they're always going to keep switching because you have to go to the opposite side and to be able to train. So when the person's actually striking now, instead of, and I don't care, punch. Instead of parry and then counter, we have this concept of at the same time. At the same time means I want to discourage that person from being able to use that again. So I don't know if this person was planning to do a jab, cross, hook, cross. I don't want to wait till they're done with it. What do we normally do? Well, if they strike, you better take it. See the translation now? It's like instead of blocking, he's like, you better take it all. And the assumption is they're always at least our size, right? No. They're always what? Bigger. And so I don't know if I want to train the students who come to my school. The students who come to my school were not already varsity football. The students in my school they were not as aggressive. They weren't being able, there's a mindset to that. So I want to change that mindset to the other person and discourage them from being able to do combinations. Coordination is 2 or more moves at the same time. Combination is 2 or more moves, one. Well, my job is to interrupt them. My job is to stop. If they have a 6-hit flow, my job is to never let them finish their flow. By the way, anybody ever cut you off when you're talking? And you're like, oh, what was I saying? So the verbal combat that we're doing right now just turned physical. So now, if the person's throwing a punch and instead of being there, now when the punch is there and I'm doing 2 things at the same time, you'll notice that if I extend any tool, I'm not going to call it a punch. When I extend the tool, you'll notice the other hand will wind up touching the bicep. Not for the sake of touching the bicep, because that's going to be a built-in parry during. So you heard Tuan say, we have built-in defense during our offense. Not defend and then hope it's my turn to have offense. It is always offensive, and if it's not offensive, it's counter-offensive. If it's not counter-offensive, it's re-counter-offensive. What about defense? It's the other guy's problem. So if I keep teaching you how to be able to cut their tool, cut their tool, cut their tool, they don't want to expose the tool. And all of a sudden, they're the ones in fetal position, then they're the ones blocking, and then they're the ones receiving it, and all of a sudden, all of your training that will kick in. So I'm not changing your punch per se. I'm changing what you can be doing while you punch. So most people will have their guard up, and they step straight in, other hand here. Technically, for Kali, we violated a couple things. What's the first thing we violated? Very good. She said, stepped inside the triangle. Everyone heard? So I literally stepped inside the triangle. Tuhan showed you how he could be able to take out the leg from there.